When my cat Luke died of stomach cancer, he hadn't been able to eat for months. He was only 8 years old. It was horrible and tragic and devastating. Well, after a couple of months after he passed, I brought home a new cat, Kylo. And there are things about Kylo that make me think of Luke and make me wonder, is Kylo a reincarnation of Luke? Hi, I'm Jillian. I'm all about reincarnation and helping you learn how this whole cycle of life and death and rebirth works so that you can apply it to your life or your animal's life in this case. So today we're going to be diving into pets and reincarnation and find out, do your pets reincarnate? And is it possible that your current pet is a pet that you had before, or will a pet that you've lost return to you in this lifetime or the next? Why they come back in this lifetime might surprise you, so we're going to dig into that. Okay, so first off, let's answer the question. Do pets reincarnate? Yes. Yes, they do, just like we do. Our animals incarnate with us in lifetime over lifetime. I listened to this lovely past life regression. It was really sweet about this woman who saw this horse and she went on about her beloved horse and how much she loved this horse in a past life. And as she looked at it, she realized it was her current dog and they had the same name. So yes, indeed, your animal that you have with you right now, assuming you do, may have been with you in previous lives. Maybe as a cat, maybe as a dog, maybe as a horse, maybe as an ostrich. I don't know what kind of animals you got up to in your past lifetimes. But they continue to join us in our human form because we have soul contracts that we work out with them, and they are here to help us learn and grow as beings. And we help them as well. It is a symbiotic relationship, if you will. But what is it about animals that cause them to want to reincarnate with us? The thing about animals that is the reason why they're so critical to have in our human lives, it's that they have already mastered unconditional love, which is something, and I think we will all agree, that we as human beings struggle with trying to really embody. Well, having these pets, these animals in our life become mirrors to help us learn about what does unconditional love look like and help us to practice it as well. I mean, I think we all know how we can respond to an animal can be a lot deeper and more profound than we can even respond to other human beings. I remember watching a celebrity, the same celebrity, on two different shows, two different medium shows. One show, he was with a medium that connected to his mother who had passed over, and it was sad, and he was emotional. And the other show, he was with a medium who was connecting to his dogs that had departed, and he lost it. It was so much more emotionally profound for him to connect to his dogs that have passed over than it was for him to connect with his own mother. This is because there is something deep about love that we are connecting with our animals. It's very profound and true, and the closest that we probably get to that divine love connection. So it can hit us really deeply and hard when we have lost an animal. But the good news about that is even though we may have lost that animal in physical form, we have not lost them at all. They're a part of our soul family. So after they pass on, they continue to work with us on the other side and act as our guides and work with us on our different life lessons and helping us get in the different things that we need to get in our life as we journey through this experience of being a human being. So I know what you're wondering. Is your beloved pet going to come back to you? Will they reincarnate again in this lifetime and to you and not to another human being? Now, from my research, it is possible. Like I said, I think that probably happened with my cat, Luke and Kylo. However, it is not as common as I think we all would like it to be. Now, first off, it's their choice. It is the animal's choice onto whether or not they're going to incarnate again into your life. Now, the two of you can kind of make a little agreement on the soul level and say, hey, I really want you to come back. And if you come back, could you look like this particular type of animal? For example, I always wanted a Siamese again because I had this beloved Siamese when I was a kid and I wanted a Siamese. And so here Kylo comes and he looks like a Siamese, but Luke decided that he wanted to have a bit bigger of a body type because he felt a little too fragile in his previous body, if he is Luke reincarnated. So they can make an agreement with you about what they are going to look like. Sometimes it's you asking what you want them to look like. You want a particular breed of dog or a particular style of a cat. It could be that they tell you that they want to come back in a different type of a body, a different type of an animal even. And they will communicate with you on a soul level so that you know what to look out for. They'll also communicate with you on where to find them, how they will be returning into your life. It's a whole plan that's happening on the other side that gets communicated to you on a subconscious or a soul level. So it's kind of wild. You don't even know that you know what you are looking for when you're looking to find your beloved animal again and bring them back into your life. They will also come back not just because you miss them and you want to have them back in your life, but because they have a purpose that they can play out with you, that they have a way that they can help you learn and grow, or that there's something else that they need to experience or understand. And that might be a reason that maybe there's an unfinished contract. So for an example, if an animal dies sooner than they were supposed to, like Luke, who died at a young age, there's a bigger chance that they might return again into animal form in order to continue out whatever that contract was that they had with you, whatever their mission, their purpose was in their little animal furry self or feathered self or scaled self, whatever self your animal looks like. They have some sort of a purpose to fulfill. And if they didn't get a chance to fulfill it in a past life, or if they feel like they can further it even more in another life, they will come back into form again to hang out with you and cuddle and snuggle or slurp or whatever it is that they do. So if they do come back into your life, congratulations. How long will it take before they return? Well, similar to humans, right? Humans, in very rare cases, do we reincarnate again really quickly. That's usually just because our life was abruptly halted before it was supposed to end. If that happened with your animal, that they ended before their contract was up, they might incarnate again rather quickly. But generally, it usually is a few years before they'll come back, and maybe even like a whole lifetime almost. It's a lot more common, from what I understand from studying all my beloved animal psychics and mediums out there, that our animals that we had as children might incarnate again later in life to be with us, you know, through our life spectrum. But it can depend on what it is that you need and whether or not it is that they can help you at this stage in your life. So how do you know if this animal that you have is a reincarnation of a previous animal? Or how will you know when they return if that's what you're looking for? It often comes down to behaviors. There can be different quirks that they might have that they'll display in both body forms. There might be a toy that they're drawn to again that they loved in a past one. That was one story that I read about, that there was a dog that they knew that this dog was a reincarnation of another dog because they went right towards this one particular toy, which was that dog's favorite toy. Now, in the case of Kylo and Luke, like I realized, like, you know, am I over romanticizing this a little bit? But there are some really bizarre behaviors that both of them had. For example, Luke used to, this was so weird, and it was always really weird when I had people over. Luke would hang his head over the edge of a garbage can, right? A garbage can, and choke himself. I don't know why. The first time we did it, I was like, I don't know what is happening here. And then when people would be there, I'm like, yeah, he just does that sometimes. I think maybe it was a way for him to like cough up a fur ball or something. I don't know. But Kylo, he doesn't do that over garbage cans. I have found him doing it oddly on my couch. I don't know. Weird. Animals are weird. But he will stick his head in between like the frame of the couch and the cushion to choke himself and cause him to cough. Now, the first time he did it, it was like, what is going on? Just like with the first time Luke did it. And then it was like, oh, this is weird, because that is just like what Luke did. I mean, different form, but the same sort of experience. And this is not anything that I've experienced other cats doing ever. And I've had a few cats. There are other things too, like Luke used to love chewing on the plastic rings that go around like Ben & Jerry's containers. And Kylo would get really drawn to it too. But here's the interesting thing, because they are different breeds. And this has caused me to learn a little bit more about how reincarnation works across species, right? For humans as well. He was drawn to it when he was a kitten. He was really drawn to them, but he kind of lost interest. It was almost like he felt like he should like it, but in this new physical body, it didn't provide him the same gratification or stimulation or whatever it was he was getting out of it as it did in his previous body. I've seen that across a few different things, that there are things that Kylo will go to do, and then it'll be like, oh, I guess I don't actually like doing that as I'm in this totally different kind of a body. So I think behaviors are a big one, because personality, right, as we know, can be very breed specific. A German Shepherd and a Golden Retriever are going to be very different behaviored animals, right? They have different personality qualities. So the soul will incarnate into those two dogs, but will show up a little differently because of those biological traits inherent in that animal. So I have also seen that with Kylo, is that yes, he has a lot of the same qualities that Luke had, but he's not the same cat that Luke was. He just isn't. He has different behavioral traits, or different personality traits rather, that Luke didn't have. So again, if it wasn't for those very weird and very specific behaviors, I would probably be like, yeah, this is not necessarily the same cat, but that definitely is one of the things. Also, how they interact with you can also be a sign, or how they interact with your other animals, those relationship sorts of things. If when you first encounter that cat or dog or lizard or parrot or whatever your animal is, if they get really excited to see you and seem really drawn to you, that is also a huge clue that this is an animal that is reincarnated with you across lifetimes, if not within this particular lifetime. Even Luke, when I first got him, when he was a little kitten, he was drawn to me and magnetized towards me. And I kind of was like, I don't really, I wanted to have like 2 female cats, and I wasn't really that interested in him. But he was so attached to me that I ended up keeping him, because it felt like there was some sort of a connection there. So it makes sense that this has continued on throughout our lives. I do wonder if maybe Kylo has a bit of resentment towards all of the treatment he had to go through for the cancer when he was Luke, if he did not like all of that stuff that I had to put him through, and holds a little bit of resentment towards me for it. I wonder about that. And so, as I mentioned before, another way is that how they react to the other animals in the household, assuming you have more than one animal. Now, for example, again, Kylo is like besotted with Leia, my other cat. Luke and Leia, I think you're probably seeing the naming theme happening there. Luke and Leia were brother and sister and were very close. Kylo has the same obsession or interest or fascination or love with Leia, like the way he just looks at her with just so much love and adoration, tells me a lot that this is also perhaps Luke reincarnated who misses his sister. So look around in your animals to see, are there perhaps behavioral interactions that are similar from previous lifetimes? So I am curious. I've told you a lot about my cat story with Kylo and Luke and how I think there might be similarities. Have you experienced this? Do you think that you might have an animal that has returned to you? And if so, what has been some of the clues or signs that you have noticed that has made you think that perhaps this is an animal that has been with you before? Share down below in the comments. I would love to kind of see what everybody has to say so that we can continue to deepen our understanding and our knowledge in this subject. And if you're somebody who has lost their pet, like, first off, I just want to say I'm sorry. I hope that it isn't fresh, because I know it's like a huge, deep wound to lose an animal that we love. I mean, I lost Luke like 9 years ago, and I still think about him all the time and miss him and wish he was still here with me. And so I hope that you're not freshly going through that right now, but if you are, know that you're not alone, and know that your animal is looking out for you and hanging out with you and cuddled up on the bed with you and following you around and is still here with you, helping you through your life. They have not left you. And if you are wondering what it is like on the other side where they're hanging out, I did this whole map of the afterlife video where I go through all of these different areas of the afterlife, and I used AI to generate it, so we had a visual representation of it. There's a whole section that goes through animals, where we interact with them, where wild animals go, etc. So watch this video so that you can see where your little loved one is hanging out on the other side while they're waiting to reunite with you again. Okay, well on that, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.